Change around here now that it's a Big Ten season at all, Josh?
A little bit. We take everything that we do around here seriously, but we're talking about it, and I think that's the big thing, just getting in guys' heads that, it's Big Ten season. This is where we have to start to achieve all of our goals for this year. We got to go through the Big Ten. We have to play really well. We know that we're going to face some really good matchups.
Josh, you were over there in 2012, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about that night? As Urban Meyer said, that's the first time he saw a defense almost quit playing hard. From that moment on, he put down the edict, you got to play hard to play and all this kind of stuff. What do you remember about that? Do you remember that being sort of a turning point for you guys as a program almost?
That wasn't very good of a performance. I just don't think we finished very well, and you could see it on the film. And I remember coming in the next day and Coach just pulling up plays and pointing out where guys just weren't playing. They weren't finishing, they weren't doing their assignments, and so that was huge. And we saw a game there where we were up a little bit and guys just let up, and so that's one thing that we're not going to do. And Indiana's given us some really good games in the past, and I know that their offense is just firing right now, and they're playing really well. They score a lot of points. I know that they've got a pretty balanced attack right now. Mm-hmm. They can do a lot of things, so that's going to be one thing we're going to have to focus on.
Have you watched much film yet, Josh?
Not yet. When I'm done here, I'm going to go watch some.
From what you know at this point, them firing, what is it? What do you think their offense is? Is it the quarterback? Is it the running back? Or?
I think that it has a lot to do with the quarterback. I know he's a really good player, and he makes those guys go. He's a great leader, and I know that their running back's a really good guy too. People have been talking about him a lot and what he's been able to do. They throw the ball pretty well, so obviously they've got some talent out there on the edges, and so we're just going to have to find ways to defend it.
I know it's a new team this year, but last year's defense, you guys faced great running backs in the Big Ten almost every week. It seems like Jordan Howard is a very good running back. In general, with the Ohio State defense that you know, how do you feel like you guys handle a good running back and a good rushing attack?
We just come up with answers to defend those type of things, and it's more of a pride thing than anything else to be able to defend against a good running back. You just don't want somebody running right through your defense, and I guess that's something that we're a little bit upset about from last week is how they were able to cut through our defense in some of those plays. So we'll definitely be thinking about that. In terms of handling good running backs also, it takes a full defensive effort, and we know that our D-line is going to give it our all. Our linebackers have to be prepared for that, but you get the secondary involved a little bit too, just knowing what they've got to do and some of the ways that we can use them creatively.
What was happening against Western Michigan? Why were they getting some of those? I think Urban called it separating from defense. Why was that happening on Saturday? They
did a great job of scheming us up. They had some of those plays that we had never seen before. We were trying to come up with answers, and I think we did toward the end. We were doing some things a little bit differently defensively also because we knew that they had some weapons on the outside, and so we were trying to defend that.
So you guys are kind of maybe thinned out a little bit?
A little bit, but that's still not an excuse. We take pride in that.
Joshua, you were obviously a football fan before you were an Ohio State football player. If someone had told 10-year-old Joshua that Indiana and Ohio State was playing and game day was considering going there, what would you have said?
Well, let's go. I guess it's not necessarily the first one that pops into your head, but it means it's got to be a good matchup. 10-year-old Joshua would probably be excited just to see some Big Ten action on game day. Probably got popcorn and some pretzels, sitting on the couch, maybe a little high C, juice box, Capri Sun, who knows. And just get ready for some good football on a Saturday.
2012, last year they gave y'all a game they were leading in the third quarter. What is it about the matchup here that makes them competitive with you guys?
They're solid. They come out with something. They give it their all every time they play us. Last year they had a great running back who was and he gave us a little bit of work. And I know that their defense does some things too that can give offenses a little bit of trouble. So they just come out kind of ready to go, and that's something that we have to do. We just have to be from the start of the game ready to do what we do, be able to make adjustments, and I think that's going to be huge, and then just continue to play throughout the game.